Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside the Issues, sponsored by the League of Women Voters Richfield. My name is Maureen Scalia and I serve as the moderator for the program. Today we're going to discuss the summer events in Richfield, and it's one of my favorite programs to do each year because Richfield is very lucky in having a number of events for the summer. My first guest on my immediate left is Amy Merkel. She's Director of Richfield Recreation, and she'll be talking about the summer programs, the opening of the new band shell, and the half marathon 5K event at the end of July that raises funds for the Wood Lake Nature Center. Then my next guest on my left is Heather Lemke. She is chair of the Red, White, and Blue Days in Richfield, originally known as the 4th of July events.
Yep.
And on my far left is Steve Schneeberger, and he is in charge of the parade, which is a huge job, right, Steve?
It can be, yes.
And so I welcome you, all three of you, and thanks so much for taking time out of your busy days to be on the program.
Thank you.
First, a little bit of some background and maybe how you got where you are and why you're on the show. Amy, you've just had a promotion.
Yeah, so I've been really lucky. I've worked the last 15 years with the city of Richfield, primarily at Wood Lake Nature Center. So in the recreation department, doing programming, a lot of outdoor education, environmental education with people of all ages. And I recently got a promotion as the recreation services director, which has been, wonderful.
We're glad to have you still in Richfield. Heather?
Yeah, my name is Heather, and I am the president of, like you said, the Richfield Red, White, and Blue Days, formerly the Richfield 4th of July. We changed the name and rebranded last year because a lot of people didn't know that we were a 3-day event. So people were just coming to the 4th of July when we had the 2nd and the 3rd, which hold tons of fun activities. So we've been chugging along, and we're excited and ready for this year. So,
how did you manage to get to be chair?
There was a post on Facebook.
Oh my goodness!
Of all things, about the previous committee was retiring, and I told my husband I just have to go check it out because I grew up in Hopkins and we have a huge summer festival.
Oh yes, the Raspberry Days.
Yep, and I have a little girl, and I was like, she can't grow up and not have a summer festival. Yeah. So I went to the first meeting, and then the next meeting I brought him with, and then I did a post on Facebook because the whole committee was retiring. Yeah. So they had nobody that was staying on. And by the end of that year, I had 12 of us that decided that we were going to keep it going, and we've all stayed around. This is our 3rd year. So,
on behalf of the city of Richfield, thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Steve, a little bit about
yes,
you?
I did not grow up in Richfield. I've been a Richfield resident for probably about 17 years, and I remember moving in to Richfield. We closed on our house at the end of June. It was a hot summer day. And my next door neighbor told me about the Richfield celebration, and I grew up in a small town. And so he said, "You've got to come to the parade. It's really fun. We do fireworks in the evening." So he saved some seats for us on the parade route that day, and we came and we sat, and I was watching the parade, and I thought, gosh, this just looks like a small town celebration, and I felt comfortable, like I was in my old hometown. And I knew then that was kind of, Richfield was a place for me, and the celebration was something that we definitely had to keep going. And kind of like Heather, I saw the Facebook post, and my daughter was a junior ambassador several years prior, and so we kind of were involved, kind of knew how it worked a little bit. But the thought of having it all go away it just couldn't happen. So I kind of, like Heather, threw my hat in the ring and ending up being the parade organizer, and here we are. So.
Well, and again, thanks so much. I mean, as a long-time committee member back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, I mean, I really was concerned, but I knew it needed fresh, new blood. So I'm just really grateful that your group stepped forward.
Thank you.
Okay, so to get to the subject of the program, let's start with summer programs for everybody, I guess. There's something for everyone. Amy, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in Richfield Parks. A lot of programming going on at Wood Lake Nature Center. So we have programs this summer really from, I would say, ages 3 and up. We have some really fun parent-child camps where the parent comes with the child, they learn together. We have preschool, kindergarten graduates, and really all the way up. And it's a wide variety of activities. We have a bike hike camp.
Really?
Yeah, so we take a group of 3rd through 5th grade graduates biking around the Twin Cities. So they're gone a good chunk of the day. We go over to Minnehaha Falls. We bike around Lake Harriet. We focus a lot on bike safety and how to use your bike, as a source of transportation. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
One of my favorites that we're going to do this summer is a girls-only nature camp. So we do a lot of girls in science that week. We end the week with kind of like an expo with our parents where we show what we've learned and we serve food, and it's really a fun week with girls. But yeah, there's really something for everyone. We have a lot of the traditional nature classes where we're learning about specific groups of animals, building forts, getting out on hikes, and a lot of experiential education.
Are there still the neighborhood park programs at all?
Yep, we have summer in the parks at 3 locations this summer. So we have playground leaders that will lead kids in crafts and games and different activities at different parks.
Do you want to say which parks they are? Should they go to the web?
Well, they should go to the web because we've shifted them this year from what they were last year. So I'll have them go to the website to make sure our final ones are there.
Oh,
correct.
okay.
Yep.
And parents just sign up by calling in the rec department?
Yeah, we have online registration. So if they go
okay.
to, for Wood Lake Nature Center, it's woodlakenaturecenter.org. Or they can go to City of Richfield. We have a recreation page with registration information. It's all done online, but if you don't have access to online, you can also call our recreation number, which it's 612-861-9365, and we can do it over the phone as well and get people registered.
And I mean, I know my kids took the Summer in the Parks program, and then I look at your Wood Lake Nature brochure, and it really does sound wonderful. How about adults? Anything for adults at Wood Lake?
Our adults, we kind of take a break for the summer. We've tried some adult programming in the past, and I feel like it's tough to get them there because a lot of people are going to their cabins and getting pulled in different directions.
That's true.
So we take a little hiatus June, July, and August, but back in the fall, we do have a really active book club that we meet every month. We do some bird hikes. We've done some evening full moon hikes in the fall. So it will start back up in September.
Yep, and obviously the Wood Lake Nature Center is Richfield's jewel when it comes to nature.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Well, and then we've got early June. We have a new amenity in Veterans Park. Do you want to talk about that one?
So we have our brand new band shell, which is a beautiful facility. We're just putting the finishing touches on it. We have, through June and July, we have a children's entertainment series, which will be on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. So we have anything from a magician coming to kids music, the Minnesota Zoo-mobile's coming, and that's all free on Tuesday mornings.
And it's at the new band shell.
It's at the new band shell. And then on Thursday evenings, we have a different evening series, more family orientated than just kids specific, but we have a whole different variety of music. We have a mariachi band, we have reggae, we have bluegrass, really something for most musical tastes. And then our big grand opening to celebrate and thank the people that have really helped organize the efforts to getting the facility built is going to be June 9th, Sunday evening.
Yeah, Sunday evening. And that will be a concert by a combined community band?
Yep, we have a Richfield Symphonic Band and a Northern Winds Ensemble.
And the bench shell is there. The sod is laid, I believe.
Yep,
And
trees
with
are
all the
planted.
rain.
Yeah, yeah, we're really excited. The grounds are starting to look fantastic, and we have had a lot of rain, so everything's well watered. But we got the sod in the grass, and we have a garden dedicated to Gertrude Ulrich that will be planted here in the coming week.
Yeah, the Gertrude Ulrich's family donated $10,000 for that garden.
It should be beautiful.
It should be, and it's wildflowers and bee friendly. So
Yep,
that'll be good.
be awesome.
Well, then the next thing of the summer is our huge event, as we stated, 3 days of fun and merriment, I guess
Yes.
we could say.
A short 6 weeks away.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's coming that fast. So do we want to start talking about July 2nd is the first?
Yeah.
Well, before that, let's talk a little bit more about the committee and your activities leading up to. Let's
Yeah.
make people familiar with all the work you do.
Absolutely. Well, the most interesting thing that I thought when I was looking into it, because a lot of people don't realize, is that we're a 100% volunteer committee. There is currently 12 of us on the board. So we each chair kind of our own area. But then when we came together as a new committee, we decided that we were going to stick together as a family through those 3 days. So when Steve is done with parade, he's not done. He sticks around and he helps out, which is really nice to just be able to call on people when you need something on any day and then we're fully fundraised. So, which a lot of people are shocked when I go to them and ask them for sponsorship money. They say, well, doesn't the city pay for that? And they don't. They are phenomenal and they help us out so much, which we are so grateful for. But it costs almost $88,000 to run our event. So we pull in what we can. And like you said, the street dance is our big one that if it rains, it's pouty, but it's been a fun adventure. You get to meet so many people from around the community, from different businesses. We've become really close with the city council, which is phenomenal. I know a lot of times in the past it was, well, that's just the way that it is. Just leave it like that because that's the way it is. And it was nice because we came in as a new committee when the city council was kind of turning over. And so we didn't know how it was. So we just asked, and it had turned out to be a great thing to do. So they were on our side no matter what, and we're on their side. So it worked out well.
And I think periodically it's really great to get new people, new ideas, new enthusiasm.
Well, and do new things, which that
Exactly.
is something that has been good for us too. We haven't kept it the same any year. We the first year got our feet wet, decided what we were doing and how it was running. But you're at the park. The second is probably the only day we're not there for a full 12 hours, but we're there by 7 a.m. on the 3rd and not leaving until after midnight. So it's a full round cycle of go. But when you look out at 10 p.m. on the 4th and there's thousands of people standing out there, it's worth it. So
Yeah, it is. Let's talk about it. People still can give money, or how do people help support?
Yep.
Are we selling buttons or anything? No.
We haven't talked about it yet. We still have 6 weeks. This year is actually the 40th year.
Oh, okay.
So we have done some great things with that. We're adding some new fun events in. And so I spoke last week with the Historic Society, and they are bringing all the buttons to us. So we're going to try to do a Mod Podge button, but we're going to see how that works. So, but keep an eye out because it'll all be posted on the webpage. Yep.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a way for people to donate money to
Right.
it.
Yep.
And that's important.
Yep.
And volunteers, you can use volunteers.
Absolutely.
I know I got a phone call already. I'm working the street dance.
Yes. We do roughly about 220 volunteers in our 3 days. And if it wasn't for the committee there, the community that stands out, I mean, we have families that do sessions together, which is super fun. Last year we had a church group that ran the inflatables for us, which was delightful.
Oh, that's great.
Because that's something in the past that used to be just hired out, and then we just rented the inflatables as the new committee, and then we have it volunteered out so that we get the profits from that still, while being able to make a donation to a church group that helps us out with that. So, but that is another one that can also be, there's a link right under our volunteer page. It's on Sign Up Genius, which is really nice to just be able to go in and click. Otherwise, there's email or a phone number where you can connect
Do
to
you
for
want to
those that
give
don't.
the website address?
Yep, it's www.richfieldredwhiteandbluedays.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I can honestly say I enjoy volunteering at the street dance. I mean, it's a way to meet people, reconnect with people I haven't seen since the kids were in Little League.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
It's only 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the events. Now, July 2nd is the first day. What
Yep.
goes on that day?
That's family night. So this year they are doing the kiddie parade still, which has been a big classic. Kids, any age. I mean, we've had strollers, we've had trikes, big kids. Decorate your bike, and then we do just around the bike path, right
At
there by
that-
the band shell. Yep. And the registration starts at 5 p.m. The parade starts at 5:30. Super short, fun, leads them right into the parking lot. We've based everything now in the Richfield Ice Arena parking lot, which has been delightful because everything's all in the same area then.
yeah,
So,
and it's safe and
right.
convenient.
Yep. And then from 5:30 to 8:30, it's just kind of the whole open area. So we have a DJ called Kids Dance, which is super fun. He brings people that dance around and has great kids music. And then for the 40th year, this year we are doing a petting zoo,
Oh,
which will be delightful. Yep. And then we do our inflatables. The fire trucks and cops bring their different mobiles in, and a dog show. And then movie in the park at 9 p.m. So that'll be really fun. It's Ralph Wrecks the Internet this year, which has been a huge wanting this year. So that was fun. It won by a landslide in the votes. So, yeah.
You know, the committee gets to do some fun things
we
like
do.
vote on the kids
Right.
show.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And then on the third, when I looked at the schedule, it looks like you've got a couple of new events on the third.
Yes, we tested the waters last year with a street vendor fair and a silent auction. So we start the morning with the car show, the Acme car show, which Lenny has been on the committee for ages and ages and ages. We're grateful for him for all of our what happened back then, answer questions.
And he's in charge of the...
He's in charge of the car show, yep, his car club is. And that goes from 10 to 4. We say 4 p.m., but once awards go, a lot of them tend to leave. So people get upset if they get there at 3:45, but we can't make them stay. So 10 a.m., he's had a great turnout the past 2 years, even with the rain last year.
Yes, I remember
There was a
that.
lot of cars, but the year before, I think it was the most they ever had, and it was like 212 cars, which is amazing.
Wow.
So
That's a
super
lot of
great,
cars.
and so many different things. A lot of people come from around, so that's fun.
Tell me more about the street vendor fair and the silent auction.
Yeah, the street vendor fair is going to be from 3 to 7, and it's going to be right in the Ice Arena parking lot again. And it's just local businesses. So it might be a local business T-shirt owner who wants to sell T-shirts, or the League of Women Voters who just wants to get information out there, or
Oh, really?
different people, because there's so many businesses that you truly have no idea until you actually dig in and see different things that are around. So that's fun. I mean, little mom and pop shops to bigger name people that just want to come and hang out for the afternoon also. So
Now, are you going to have like food from 10 on, or?
we do 5 p.m. on the 2nd. It's from 5 p.m. until whenever they decide to shut up after the movie closes. We had 2 or 3, I think, that stayed on last year until after the movie because people ran over there after the movie. But this year we have 12 different food trucks. So
Wow.
we don't do the food ourselves anymore.
No.
But we just have some different varieties. I mean, corn dogs and funnel cakes and anything you can think of. Tacos, ice cream truck. So, and then they're there all 3 days. So
Oh, really?
they'll be there on the 3rd also, probably not until about 2 p.m., but from 2 p.m. until midnight when the street dance ends. And then the 4th, they'll be there from 1:30 after the parade until fireworks go boom. Yeah.
Now the silent auction, what's all involved?
Yeah, the silent auction, we have sent out almost 800 different donation packets to local businesses. So it could be anything from a weekend stay at Great Wolf Lodge to Renaissance tickets, Lions Tap, just different businesses that have donated gift cards to us and things like that. And then all the proceeds go right back into the festival. So. Last year was the first year in a very long time that we added money to our savings account. So we keep trying to do that in fear that if anything were to happen with weather, that we'd keep kicking.
Yeah, because the big fundraiser, the street dance.
Yeah.
If that collapses, that
Right.
money's gone. So talk a little bit about the street dance. I guess that's
the
the
street
next.
dance,
Yeah.
yes. It starts at 6 p.m., $5, 5 and under is free. This year, we have not announced yet the main act, but I can tell you that I'm so excited.
Oh.
I'm waiting for the contract to come back to me. They won the Midwest CMA Songwriter of the Year this year. They've opened for some huge named acts, traveled the country. They've filled up Treasure Island. So it's kind of fun. We don't have a very large entertainment budget. I've kept everybody at the same budget for the past 3 years just to try to grow that money. And so we're working with $6,000 for our budget for all 3 days for entertainment, which is not,
That's no to
it's
go
not
far.
very, and that includes sound and everything. So I'm very excited for that one. And then a fan favorite the past 2 years, we've had DJ Dudley D, who he is the DJ from 10 to midnight. He also does intermissions for the bands, but he was Prince's world touring DJ, so that's kind of fun.
nice.
He has some great dance music. He really gets people into it. He has a huge following. So it's kind of fun to have him return for the 3rd year. And then he also does our parade announcing.
Oh, I did not realize.
Last year was the first year, and people loved it, so
Yeah.
we're gonna bring him back. So.
Okay.
It'll be a great night.
Well, and like you say, hopefully the weather cooperates.
Right.
Because it really is a fun event.
Yeah, it is.
And I've always amazed and still am amazed. People, you could imagine an event of that size and the number of people that come to it, that things could get a bit out of hand every once in a while. But it doesn't. People really, it's just a nice event. And
Yes, it is.
it's an event where the whole family can come. I mean, you see little kids there dancing.
Yep. Well, we keep our inflatables all 3 days this year.
Well, that's
we have
right,
the past,
and
so
the-
that's nice because everything is all in the same area. So parents can still dance and have a good time, and their kids are still in the gated area where they can buy a wristband and off they go and they can jump. There's 4 different bounce houses, and then we have something called Bonker Ball, which is just a really large, like, inflatable for children that they can play soccer, they can roll around, so there's fun for everyone.
Now, I just thought of something. Like for the bicycle event and some of these other things, it's not limited to just Richfield kids.
No.
So really anybody can
We
come.
want everyone, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's really open to anybody in the area that wants
Absolutely.
to come. And any guests that are in town. for-
Everyone, yes. Well, we're so close to the Minneapolis border too that Minneapolis doesn't have a larger festival for their 4th of July, so it's
we're
nice to
part
get
of
everyone
that.
in. Yes.
And I have to say, we used to be the only 4th of July around until some of the other towns started
Copying them.
copying us. And that created problems, especially with the parade, getting venues for the parade. So anyway, speaking of the parade, that opens the 4th of July events, right? Or do you have something before the parade?
Oh, we do have something before the parade,
you
and
do?
I'll let Heather elaborate on that because last year we did it for the first time.
Yes.
Oh, what's before the parade?
Well, last year, Steve had a wonderful idea, or a lot of the committee, but bringing the 4th of July back to our veterans. So last year, our Grand Marshals were some amazing World War II vets. And so we decided that we wanted to make it a tradition as a committee to do a wreath laying at the Honoring All Veterans Memorial. And so that's at 10 a.m. And the American Legion and the VFW bring in bugles and flags and we do an official wreath laying at the memorial the morning of at 10 a.m. And then we have a gorgeous wreath that has been donated by Morris Nielsen, so we're grateful for that. They drop it off and bring it over for us and the whole shebang. So last year it was awful weather and it downpoured. We were going to do it inside the American Legion against the wall facing the memorial. And then all of a sudden a cloud broke and we're like, okay, let's make a run for it. And it worked out great because there was a lot of news there, and it was just something really nice to start the morning out. And then we head over to the wonderful parade. So
Okay,
Yeah.
Steve, you're on.
I'm on. Well, so the parade, a couple of years ago, well, last year we actually changed the parade route. And it goes all along 70th Street, starting about at the high school on Harriet Avenue and running to 12th Avenue. And the reason we switched it was initially there was a lot of construction going on 66th Street. And then after the construction was complete, with the center medians and the single lanes and the turn lanes, it became almost impossible to imagine having a parade go along 66th Street. And so we kind of chose 70th to kind of be our new permanent parade route. And what's great about that is it kind of pulls in the audience a little bit tighter, and it's shaded. There's a lot of big oak trees that kind of hover over 70th along the parade route. And so even though it might be a hot day, a lot of people can enjoy the parade in the shade, and the parade participants can also not have to break a sweat, per se.
That's great.
it's very hometown feel.
Yeah, it
down
is.
70th.
Yeah.
So what goes into putting a parade together?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Tournament of Roses parade on New Year's Day.
Okay.
And so I figure so that, the day after that's over, I'm already thinking about the Red, White, and Blue Days parade. And I start hitting up people probably in January, February, inviting them to be part of the parade. And how it basically works is people can sign up, whether you're a nonprofit organization or a business. You can sign up and pay a $50 fee if you're a nonprofit, or a $100 fee if you're a business. And then after May 15th, that's the early bird registration, and then from May 16th to June 15th, the registration goes goes up to 100 for nonprofit and 200 for a business, which is still pretty good. And then after June 15th, you can still enter the parade, but the fee goes up from there as well. So I like to have everything really organized and set right away, probably middle of June, so we have we have the number of units set and the order set, and everybody is confirmed.
Now, I know the problem has always been, it didn't used to be a problem until Edina started having their parade in the morning or late morning. But people like bands. Are
Yes.
you going to be able to get some bands this year other than the high school? The high school is always there.
Yeah, and the high school is an award-winning marching band now.
I was going
I mean,
to.
last year they're state competitors,
Yeah.
and they're really good. But beyond that, we have a couple years ago we had a drum and bugle corps from Ohio that happened to be in town because of the DCI Drum and Bugle Corps Championships that were held at TCF Bank Stadium, and we were lucky to be able to have them come. And we also have drum lines that come, and some really cool acts that will get you dancing with regards to the drum lines and the entertainment that way. But it is a little bit tougher to get bands. Of course, my budget is limited,
That's
as
the other
everything,
problem.
and
Yeah.
it could be $2,000 to $3,000 or more to get a name band, out there.
Which
so
I never realized that people paid people to be in a band before. So
I
that was
know.
an interesting
That's-
aspect
I
of
know.
it.
I know, and I want to make that very clear that it costs a lot of money, and if you have a band contest, that's even more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable how expensive it is to have a couple of bands in the parade.
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. One thing we added last year, which I think we all kind of, as a committee, we like to think, how can we add something, how can we up the game a little bit each year? And last year, we had a vintage military aircraft flyover to start the parade.
Yes.
And it was a grouping of 4 World War II aircraft, And it really caught people off guard. And,
Yeah.
and I think it was probably the
Instant
highlight of the parade.
waterworks. Yeah.
It was really quite moving.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, and you're talking about other cities having their parades, so these guys flew from Apple Valley. I think it's either Apple Valley or Egan has a parade the same time as we do at 1 o'clock. So we had to start our parade at 1:15 last year so they could do their flyover down in Apple Valley and then queue up to
That's
fly
Yeah.
over across ours. And we're planning to have them again this year, and that's why the parade technically starts at about 1:10. and the lead pilot likes to time it to the minute. So,
Aw.
but that's really exciting.
And then it all finishes up, I believe,
Yeah, we
with
have.
the
Yes.
bang, bang, bangs.
Well, we have live music still and the beer
Oh.
garden on the 4th.
oh,
so
well, sorry.
we have
that comes first.
No, at 6 o'clock we start up with Sugar Buzz, which is a super fun band. They play at the American Legion a lot. They played at our street dance last year, and people absolutely loved them. So we asked them to come back for the 4th this year. Beth is the lead singer, and she's absolutely amazing and so high energy and super fun. So that's delightful. And then we end with the fireworks at 10 p.m., which we are very excited about this year. So
Is the corporate sponsor still the
still
same?
Best Buy, yes. Yes,
Excellent.
we are grateful for them to do that for us every year.
Yeah,
yes.
because that's not cheap.
No, $20,000 for some fireworks.
Yep.
Which this year we actually had to decrease our fireworks by 3 minutes because fireworks costs and the Chinese tax tariff went up. So, and we were too late in the calling to request an up on our sponsorships. So we decided to bite the bullet and decrease our time.
People
but
complain it's the tariffs. Well, then the summer ends with, well, the summer doesn't end with, but one of the big events next is the half marathon 5K.
Yeah,
Oh,
so that is July 27th. And new this year, we have 2 new courses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so when you certify a running route, it only has a 10-year certification. And because of all the road construction in Richfield, to get 13 miles in sync with the road construction is pretty hard. So we had to reroute for a few reasons. So this year we're in the process right now of certifying our proposed course for the half, and then our 5K is not as certified, but that's finalized kind of as well. So different routes, I think people will see a lot of Richfield's beautiful green spaces. We tried to get them into a lot of the parks. I really take shaded streets into consideration because it is a July half marathon. I also, just thinking about the start and finish line, I want to make sure it's wide enough for a big pack of runners to come in and move out of that space. So instead of being behind the arena, we'll be out in front of it this year.
And so it starts at the ice arena parking lot.
Yep, at 7 a.m. the half marathon starts, and then at 7:15 the 5K will start. And it all will have the same finish line, really close to the band shell. So we'll be able to
okay.
kind of utilize that green space for the finish line area.
So it's a half marathon is really a circle there,
yeah.
a loop type
Yep,
of
and a
thing.
lot of runners prefer that in lieu of an out and back, a loop kind of through the city. And it will get to showcase Wood Lake Nature Center, which is the beneficiary of the event. All the proceeds from the registrations go to support our environmental education program. So our Richfield Public School students, preschool through 5th grade, come 3 times a year for field trips, and those are all paid for through the race.
Oh, that really
Very
is
nice.
incredible that you
Yeah.
guys can raise that kind of money.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
about how many participants did you have last year? And I assume you're anticipating similar numbers?
Yeah, we shoot for anywhere from 1,200. We can take up to 1,600.
Wow.
So anywhere in there would be fantastic. Last year I think we were right on track around 11 to 1,200, somewhere in there last year.
That's a third of the population of Richfield.
Yeah, and really runners come from all over. I think over half of the 50 states were represented at our race last year. We even had a New Zealander here on business who ran our half marathon. So we get a few people too from out of country that are here to visit family and things like that.
So they'll run too.
So regionally, it's a well-known event. We've been around for a while. People often use it as a training run that are running the Twin Cities Marathon. They can use it as their wave placement for that full marathon later in October.
And then the 5K, tell me what that is in miles.
It's 3.1 miles.
3.1,
yeah,
okay.
And we have a really nice course. It's shady. It goes around Taft Lake, out in the northeast corner of Richfield, and then back. And a lot of people, different abilities. They walk, jog, run. It's really a low pressure event. Yeah.
Low pressure event. Now, do you get people with handicaps also are running, disabled people much? I know they do in the the Twin Cities.
Yeah. So in those full marathons, you will see they call them the wheelers, and they'll take off before the runners, and they'll be in different wheelchairs and do the event. We haven't had a request, but we certainly can accommodate it. We'd love to accommodate it. I think the event. The course poses a little bit of challenge, I think, at Wood Lake Nature Center because we do have gravel. But, if someone had the right chair, they might be able to do it.
And you call yourself the Green Race, too.
Yeah, so we try to look at every angle of the event and kind of look at our waste stream and significantly decrease it. So all of the cups we use are compostable. We try to compost all of our food scraps, napkins, try to reuse as many of our banners and things like that. We have paperless registration. We usually have a solar trailer there, so we run anything that would normally use electricity on the sun. So just lessen our impact on the earth to put on the event.
And do you need volunteers?
We do, much like 4th of July. We usually have a little over 200 volunteers. We have 7 water stops that need support to get water out for runners and to cheer them on. Finish line, start line, there's no shortage of volunteer jobs.
And again, website.
Yep, it's urbanwildland.com.
Okay. Well, plenty of things for your Richfield people to do in the next, really, 2 months, basically. So I hope people do. And I want to really say thank you to all of you, again, for taking time out of your schedules and being on and telling the people of Richfield what's all happening this summer. And we hope people come out. And again, it's not just for Richfield. We welcome Bloomington, Edina, Minneapolis, and anybody else that wants to come.
New Zealand.
New Zealand, everyone's welcome.
And so again, my guests have been Amy Merkel, head of the recreational department in Richfield, and Heather Lemke and Steve Schneeberger from the Red, White, and Blue celebration, otherwise known as the old 4th of July. So we will reconvene in a few minutes with the next group about the wildflowers, or just the flower show. Okay, thank you. Welcome back to more summer events in the Richfield, Bloomington, Edina area for this one. My guests, Renee Lynch, who's chair of the Tri-City Flower Show, and Carol DeZoe, excuse me, who's on the Planning Commission. I'm going to let you two talk about yourself while I deal with my voice.
I'm currently the chairman for the Tri-City Flower Show.
We're going to stop and actually restart.
Right. Yeah, take it.
Some of
Yep,
your water.
absolutely. You get a tickle going and it's hard to calm it
I've
down.
been talking for 40 minutes, so. Okay, let's start over. I think I'm okay.
Count down again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to more discussions on neat things going on this summer. For this event, which is the Tri-City Flowers Show, we're actually going to talk about an event that's put on by Bloomington, Richfield, and Edina
Yes.
garden clubs. And my guests are Renee Lynch, who is chair of the Tri-City Flower Show, and Carol DeZoyce.
Yes.
Did I say that close
Yes.
enough? Who's on the planning committee also. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for inviting us.
And I'm going to let each of you say a little bit about how you got into, well, gardening for the first point, and then second, involvement with the Tri-City Flower Show. So Renee, you want to go first?
Sure. I started gardening actually when I was about 3 years old with my grandmother because she took care of me. She was my daycare, and she would take me to the garden and put me in a spot in the shade and and would work with her plants. And I just, from that time on, as I grew up, we had vegetable gardens and all other gardens, and I learned to love gardening.
And I imagine that, you know, you had one garden when you were raising kids, if
Yes.
you were raising kids, but obviously working too. Then you had the,
Yes.
you got more into it with retirement.
I did, but I've always gardened quite a bit because I've always had vegetable gardens as well as having flower beds.
okay.
So my spare time, that was my choice of an activity, was to garden.
And a healthy one at that.
Yeah.
Carol?
I started when I was probably, well, I was exposed to it when I was very young. When we lived in Idaho Falls, Idaho, we had iris and just the whole yard was surrounded, the whole house was surrounded with flowers, and loved it then. But when we moved to St. Paul, then I wanted our house to have got flowers. So my mother was working, and so I started planting the flowers in the yard, in the garden, and my sisters and my brother and my mom supported me. So,
Oh, how wonderful.
so that's when I got started, and of course, went away from it for a while. But then when I had my own home, then I started in again.
And then it only continues to grow.
Right, but you don't have to start when you're little either. If you have an interest in plants and gardening, whether it's rain gardens, environmental native plants, whether it's milkweed for butterflies, all of those things are part of things that we're interested in and we do and try to learn more about and share with others.
And it doesn't matter if you make a mistake.
Absolutely not, because
We all make them.
we have people that have been gardening for over 90 years and they have mistakes too. So and that's part of the process, is learning what works well. And because every yard has certain areas of sun and shade and soil differences, and then they have what we call microclimates, which are areas like the sunny side of her house on the south that's protected. So that actually almost becomes another zone, if you're familiar with gardening zones. So it bumps it up, and you can maybe grow something that they say wouldn't grow in Minnesota. You can try it if you have a microzone or an area that you think might give it a possibility.
A little bit warmer.
Yeah.
And just for those that might not know, most of Minnesota, at least maybe the southern 2/3, is zone 4.
Yep.
And obviously up north, that's a different story.
It has been changing. We are picking up a little bit more towards zone 5.
Yeah.
Especially in the southern areas of Minnesota. So
And even in Richfield,
Right.
east end of Richfield, with the Mall of America, the airport, and all of the heart, you know,
It holds the heat.
it holds the heat.
Yeah, I've noticed, now I live in the Northwest area, and I don't know, I think it's just Minneapolis, the whole central metropolitan area, we're stuck right in the middle almost.
Right.
Tends to be warmer than,
Right.
and plants seem to do better earlier. I
Yes,
guess.
they start sooner and have a longer growing season.
Right.
So anyone can give it a try.
Yes.
That's what it's. There's possibilities for all of us.
And I think it's so great to foster children. I mean, you both did it at a young age.
Yes.
I did it at a young age. I think that's wonderful for children.
Well, they are fascinated just to learn how a seed sprouts, and the whole process of growing, I think, is kind of magic to them.
Well, in many ways, nature
Yes.
is magical.
That's right.
Okay, well, we have a big event coming up, Tri-City. So, again, Bloomington, Richfield, and Edina. Does Minneapolis have their own?
There are other flower shows,
Okay.
and there are many garden clubs.
So they work
but
differently.
yes, and so this flower show that we're having is in conjunction with what would be the National Garden Club organization. It follows their rules and what their expectations are for judging and so forth. So yeah, it's the three cities working together, and this is our 62nd annual flower show. So we're pretty proud of that.
So the three cities been doing it for 62 years.
We haven't all been to it. Gradually became all three cities, but we know that at least Bloomington had started in. Were you involved in 62 years ago? So there's never been a year that we
Didn't have
have a flower show.
And Richfield, and I just learned this from the Richfield Historical Society, and Richfield, which is, I think we're 80, is it 83, 82? 1938
Is when you guys.
is when Richfield Garden Club started. And of course there was, at one point, 600 and some members that were part of that garden club.
600.
But they did have, after the first 2 or 3 years, and of course in those times they lived it. They met in the homes, and some groups still do. Richfield meets in the community center now, but
Garden clubs really boomed shortly after World War II. All of the people that came back and started new small houses, there was a boom in building, and none of the yards had any landscaping. And so most of them were neighborhood garden clubs that started with women sharing their ideas to figure out how to landscape, because landscapers didn't do new
what they
homes
call
back then. You just got a house and then you had to do something with it. And so that's how most garden clubs began.
Okay. So we have this show, and I have to say to the audience, it's a wonderful show.
It is a good, nice show.
Now, for a while, you were at the Southtown,
Yes.
but was it last year you switched?
Last year we switched to, because there was a lot of construction, and so it was better for us and for Southtown actually, and we switched to Bachman's and the Heritage Room, and it worked out to be a really wonderful
It really
new
was.
home
I
for our
enjoyed it,
flower
yeah.
show.
Now, for people that maybe don't know where the Buckman's Heritage Room, can we kind of
It's the Bachman's on Lindale, the main store.
It's kind of you go in.
It's on Lindale by Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's actually on
And
the it's just past 35.
There'll be lots of signs. You just go in the front
The
door,
main Bachman's
door,
store, yes.
and there'll be signs that direct you to where the room is.
Yeah.
So
And I learned last year, I printed out the whole booklet, which if you want to show how
Okay.
big the booklet is, that there are
It's 29 pages.
there are just an incredible variety of classes and entry areas. Do you want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that, both of you?
Well, why don't you talk about the divisions, horticulture and design?
Yeah, there's horticulture and horticulture, which is
Things that you
cut
grow.
specimens. You have to grow them yourself from your own garden. And then there's, if we have time, and Jeanette asked me to bring, there's wedges and ways and they have to be shown in clear bottles, which as long as it's clear, no design on it, no cut glass or anything. So we have, that's part of the criteria. And then we have just, if the category is not in that book, it's always other. There's always an other. Whether it's a spike or it's a, I don't remember all the terms. Anyway, all the different terms of the way the flower grows.
A spray.
Spray,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, talk more about
So the flower show is divided up by divisions. And Carol was talking about the division of horticulture, which is what people have grown themselves.
They grow it themselves, and it's like a leaf or a flower.
And in the booklet, it tells you exactly what you can show and exactly what size, what variety, but there's so many. It's all kinds of petunias. It can be pansies. It's really what's ever current in July, when there's a lot of perennials growing.
Yeah.
But there are annuals included also, and there are foliage included, and herbs, and there are branches from trees.
And we also have vegetables.
Oh, you have a
Yes.
spot for vegetables.
Yes,
Yes.
we do. And that's
Forgotten.
increasing gradually as people start, doing more vegetable gardens.
Yeah.
Then the second division is floral design. So if you like to make floral designs, in that case, you do not have to use botanical material from your yard or garden. You can purchase whatever you want that fits the description of the design, and you can be very creative with what you're doing. It tells you in the booklet whether it's an underwater design or a reflective design. So there are directions and rules, and anybody that wants to try it can enter. I don't know that we really said that it's open to the public.
It is. It's
So,
right on.
so it's
This is
not just
open-
garden club members. Anybody, if they had a hosta that went crazy this year and it just is spectacular, cut off a leaf and bring it in and enter it in the show. We'll show you how. We'll help you if you don't know the identity. We'll show you how and help you find out what it is, and then we can enter it in the show. And you got as good a chance at winning a ribbon as anybody else.
I did not know that. I had always thought it was.
I thought of that too. It's open to the public and public entry is welcome. And
Oh.
so, and then there is also an educational division. And I believe we have two,
3 entries
three
in
entries
that.
in that. The share, which is
And it's closed. That particular section of is now closed because the 3 groups, Edina has an
sure.
entry,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that particular part perhaps wouldn't be available to the public at this point. So, but
and then there's also botanical arts, which people who are more crafty would like to participate in. This year we have the hat, raspberry beret, and the decorated birdhouse, and a wrist
So you could
corsage.
take a bird south and
yeah, and yes.
could do whatever you want
Yes,
with
as
it.
long as you don't use artificial material.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to be dried or fresh plant material. There is no artificial plant material anywhere in the show, but it's very clear in the directions that that's the case. So you couldn't take, and cut off some of those pretty red
Right,
flowers
because
and
they're
glue them.
artificial.
Right.
Some of the design Actually, all of the design, all of the pre-registering we have to do. So that's where it's difficult for the public, unless they go online or
They really need to go online
Yeah.
and
You
see
wanna
what the
give-
directions are. If they go to www.mngardensclubs.com, there's a pull-down tab for flower shows, and there's more than one. So,
Yeah.
and they can get the schedule and see what the rules are.
telephone numbers are in there if they have questions.
Yes, and email addresses. But I'd like to say that it does have a theme.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure we got to.
And I think the theme this year is especially fun, so that it would be, anyone might be inspired to enter something under a specific song. We picked summer songs, and like as an example, in the design division, we do miniatures, which
That's a key
can
one.
be, the whole design is like maybe not over 4 inches.
Okay,
And
so
so,
you're talking-
yes, very small,
Yeah.
3 or below sometimes. And like the song for one of them is Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot
Dot
Bikini. So that's supposed to inspire you to use that to make your design. You don't want to over analyze it, but I would think that probably you would look for some flowers that had a little yellow in them,
I was
and that
gonna
would be enough to pull it into that category.
And I expect you probably want the dates.
Yes, yeah, that was the next thing I was getting to.
It's Saturday, July 27th, from 1 till 6 p.m., and Sunday, July 28th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So they can go watch the marathon race, half marathon,
Yes, they
and
could.
go directly to the
Yeah.
They absolutely could.
garden show.
And anyone is welcome to come and look at the beautiful designs and flowers. There's photographs are also
Yeah.
in the judging. It's a beautiful show to just come and wander through. And who doesn't like to go to Bachman's? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're a little prejudiced.
Yes.
But, well, I have to say, like last year, knowing a little bit about the designs and whatnot, that I was totally blown away. And to my audience, if you get a chance on the 27th and 28th, do go to the garden show
Yep.
at Bachman's.
It's a good experience.
Yep, and I need to wrap this up, so I will thank you very much for being here. And to my viewing audience, we've been fortunate to have Renee Lynch with the Bloomington Garden Club and Carol DeZoy with the Richfield Garden Club, both of them working to make the Tri-City Garden Show a great success, like it always is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
and
you.
good night.